just a quick look at what's going on here. So we're in the B-pillar repair right now. Repaired this little piece right here that sits underneath a few other things. So for the next part, I'm probably going to do it in like 2 pieces, or I don't know, maybe I'll do it in 8 pieces and make people really mad. I'm really good at that. But what's going to happen is I need a piece right here that is going to sit this way, and then I'll cut, hopefully I don't have to cut up too much, but cut this out here, and then that piece will go on. So just to give you an idea, so this piece will go in, and then that piece. And this is a seatbelt bracket, and I've had some comments, people concerned about safety and whatnot, and I get that. And I'll maybe address that in a future video. I'm right now just trying to get everything back to stock. I know that my welds are good, but I'm only like 80% confident that they'll be good. And 80% is not a lot to go on if you're gambling with your life. So in a future video, I'm gonna go over something, just an option that I might be thinking of in the future, just to help with some safety with seatbelt brackets. Okay, so this is kind of a supersized episode. This is going to be a long one. I usually try and keep them under about 15 minutes, but this one might go over a little bit because there's kind of a lot of stuff that we show and that we try and cover. But this is the B-pillar repair, and remember, if you watch some of my other episodes of the B-pillar repair, well, there's only one other episode, that's from the driver's side, you'll know that there isn't really a suitable aftermarket piece for this. So you're going to spend a lot of time kind of fabricating parts and kind of piecing it together like a puzzle. That's kind of the reality of it. Unless, of course, you can go find a donor car and you can cut that piece out. But not everybody has easy access to that. And so if you're like me and you just can't go to the junkyard and find a donor car, you're going to have to spend time like piecing it together. This is a good point to remind everybody that I don't have really precision fabricating tools, not at this point anyways. And actually, even now, I don't really have precision fabricating tools. Like I didn't even have a sheet metal brake, which seems crazy for someone who's going into something with this much metal work. But I was working on kind of an outlook and mentality of I don't really want to sink a whole lot of money into tools, although I love buying tools. But we were on kind of a budget mentality. We want to keep costs low. And so one of the ways that I did that was I was really trying to just use what I had. And especially you'll see a lot of the sheet metal I use is just sheet metal left over from other panels. I tried not to buy extra sheet metal. I just tried to use exactly what I had on hand. And so you may be in kind of the same situation where you don't really have a lot of these tools. And so I'm just here to kind of show you that there are things that you can do without fabricating tools, and you can make do with what little you have. At least I was able to do that, and I think you can do that too. Also, in the journey of welding, that my welds are getting better. Maybe not perfect and professional, but they were getting loads better because I think my confidence was getting higher and I was getting way more comfortable with it. So you can see At this point, when I started out, I had my voltage quite low, and I could have turned the voltage up just a little bit to heat up those welds a little bit more. And you can see at this point that my welds, at this point, I had upped my heat a little bit. My welds were sitting a little bit better, and things just felt more comfortable. And that's just what happens as you're doing this every day. When you have lots of opportunities to do welding like this, you will just eventually start to get more comfortable with it. So if you're just starting out welding sheet metal, it's hard to do, but you'll get better as you go, and it just takes lots of practice. I do want to talk briefly about the seatbelt mounts. So what I did here is I put the seatbelt mounts back in that B-pillar. And I know when I was doing it, there was some concerns about safety with this, because now I have a separate sort of piece in there that has been welded in, and there are some questions about safety, as if you are in an accident and a lot of force gets put on that now welded part, that welded sheet metal, is that going to be strong enough? That is definitely something that you might want to consider. And I reference it, I think I talk about it in one of the little videos, but there are some options that you can get if you're a little bit worried about having to replace that part and you're worried about strength in your welds. And there are just little mounts, seatbelt mounts, brackets that kind of like sandwich on your floor pans. So there's a part that goes underneath and a part that goes on top, and then that's where you kind of mount your seatbelt. And so there are some options. So if you are a little bit nervous about replacing that part and there's a question of the strength of the welds, just have a look at maybe some of those. I'll try and link it in the description, and you can maybe look and see if that's maybe an option that you'd rather do rather than be worried about the safety of that B-pillar seatbelt mount. And the last thing is weld-through primer. That red paint that you see is not just red paint. It is actually weld-through primer. And the important part about weld-through primer, or any primer, is remember, we want to cover our bare metal. So when you're behind those panels, or you're putting two panels together, and you don't want bare metal on bare metal, because that is just, moisture's going to get trapped in there. You're going to get rust back really quick. So when you're thinking about putting your panels back together, especially if you are lap welding, get some weld-through primer, because you're gonna get rust back if you don't put something between that bare metal. That's a big concern when we're doing these restorations. So get some weld-through primer, spray it on the places where you're gonna be welding, and just be mindful that we cover up our bare metal kind of as we go, because that's just, I mean, what's the point of doing it unless we're gonna try and do it right, guys? And also, mistakes will happen. There were times where I would be welding, and you'll know immediately when you're hitting some metal that is rusted. Maybe it looks okay on the outside, but on the inside, you just can't see, and it's just rusted. So that'll happen where you'll weld and your welds will just burn right through the sheet metal. That's a sign that metal is deteriorated. You want to get rid of that, so it'll happen. So if it does happen, just cut that little piece out, put a little patch in there. That's not ideally what you want to do, but just remember, it's still better than leaving it there. So hopefully all this helps. I know that the B-pillar can sometimes be a little bit of a head scratcher with how to repair it, especially mine when it was in just really, really bad shape. So just have a look at the video. Maybe it gives you some ideas. Maybe it gives you the confidence to maybe go and tackle this yourself. But just take some time, be mindful, and have some fun with it.